Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to the chat show where we talk about empathy, innovation, and employment every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, where we talk about innovators, entrepreneurs, thought leaders from the staffing industry, thought leaders from the disability community. Employment is a core theme and how a goal and how empathy and innovation is really driving employment. That is the purpose of this chat. And today's show, I'm honored to have extremely talented, versatile, passionate Ron DeShay joining me. I assume most of you know who Ron is. For those who don't know, Ron is an artist, a philosopher, a writer, and executive director of popular TV show American Idol. And most importantly, his man with big heart and big smile, with a lot of energy. He has also received three Emmy Award nominations, several Producers Guild Awards, and nominations for his incredible contribution to the entertainment industry for over 2 decades. With that, Ron, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Nish. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
So tell me, that's where is your bow, man? That's missing.
There is. I didn't wear a bow tie today. I'm at home. I figured, today I would relax and not put on the bow tie. So no bow tie today. So
Hey, so this is my Miss Empathy T-shirt. Is my everyday what do you call the uh, my costume, my daily business casual. Uh, and I was expecting your bow. But anyway, welcome to the show. So, Ron, I have known you for over now 3 years, and every time when I have have this type of interaction, that positive energy, positive attitude, and that big smile. What is the secret?
um, I don't know. I think it's a lot about living life and learning how to keep a right perspective no matter what. That's sort of been my thing. I think that helps with the way that I see the world. If you'll remember, last year I spoke at our class's graduation, and one of the things that I talked about life in pictures and frames, and how as leaders we have a responsibility to help those who we are leading to shape things in a good and a positive way. And that's something that my mom taught me as a kid, and it stayed with me. And I'm one of those guys that I can see something that most people will consider throwing away, and I'll find the good in it, and I'm able to turn it into something great, if you will. Lemons out of lemonade, I mean, making lemonade out of lemons, if you will. So
That's what I love about you. Your taglines, like, what if this is happening to me
ah,
or happening for me? Tell
well,
me what is it during this very challenging time, where everyone is struggling and everyone is thinking, what is happening to us and to the whole world? And I learned from you that one of your tagline. Tell us a little bit about that. What do you mean by that?
well, I was sitting at my place out in Ventura, looking out the water, and it was really interesting. This was around the time when the whole COVID shutdown started to happen, and business was being affected, and it was a really heavy moment. And I remember sitting there, and the thought hit me: what if this isn't happening to me, but it's happening for me? And I took that and I let that become my frame for how I was experiencing everything that I was experiencing, everything that I was going through. And that became my mindset. And with that mindset, I mean, it's been amazing what's happened since then. We've been able to spawn off several different arms of business that did not even exist prior to, this whole time with COVID. And it's been an amazing year, despite or in spite of all of the the crazy extremity pressures that were pushing down on us, it's actually been a really, really good year in spite of.
Yeah, see that is a true entrepreneurial spirit, right? You're really converting this challenging time into an opportunity and looking that in a very different way. You also mentioned about perspective. How do you see? Tell us a little bit about that. That was just amazing message.
Perspective. I mean, it's the vantage point, it's the viewpoint for how you see things, and that determines how you live out in this world. It really does, because I mean, two people, and I learned this just from experience. Two people can look at the same scenario and have completely different takeaways from the situation, but how they see those situations will determine the path that they take beyond that moment. I mean, I look at what happened with this whole thing with COVID, and we could have been one of those companies that completely shut down, especially with the industry closing down and nothing being able, you're not able to film anything. I mean, we could have been one of those companies that basically signed out and not recovered, if you will. But that isn't the case. We've actually been able to, again, develop new arms of business that were not even there prior to the beginning of this whole thing. And that, I believe that has everything to do with perspective. It has everything to do with the ability to see past the disruption that you're looking at, and to looking to and finding solutions in those situations. So,
So, as an entrepreneur, that's a perfect point. I would really like to you to share as an entrepreneur, right? How the industry is impacted, and pretty much every industry is impacted. During this time, as an entrepreneur, how you and your business, you have pivoted your business. Tell us. I know there are some great work you are doing with Harvard Business School case studies, and a little bit share some of those great things and
oh
innovate
well, that
thought.
that's that that's a great starting point. Actually, Linda Applegate, who is just phenomenal. If you don't know her, she
Of course, the
she's
whole world knows her. Of course, every entrepreneur, every corporate C-level executive, I'm pretty sure they got
yeah,
the training and tips from her. Absolutely.
well, she's actually still actually now, it's still a live case study now because it's been extended, but she did a case study on World of Dreams. It was supposed to end back in August of this year, but because of some things that had developed, she wanted to continue. So we've continued the process up to now. So it's a live case study, still ongoing. But one of the things that she really wanted to examine was basically how my company was able to pivot in this whole COVID climate. The study, and I can't tell you everything. I guess you've got to read it and get the case study at some point. But it started out with my journey on American Idol, and it brings me into present day of dealing with World of Dreams. And we actually saw the effects of what COVID was doing back in October of 2019. It was a little bit earlier than most people, and that's because of where our source of funding was coming. And that gave us a big signal that some major changes were coming. And so we actually made some changes very early on to what our plans were going to be. So it was really interesting being able to see the journey, seeing how we literally had to shut down one portion of the business, open up new parts of the business that were supposed to start years down the road. But I think one of the things, the key takeaways that most people will get is how we structured our company, where we had a holding company, a parent company, and then we had entities that sat underneath it. And those things, I mean, those are a byproduct of me having some very smart people around me, my advisors at HBS, who really, really drilled risk mitigation into my head when we were structuring these companies. And because we did that, the companies were able to work independently from one another, and were able to be very, very agile during this time. And because we didn't have a lot of bureaucracy and red tape to work through, because you have this big entity of companies, and one thing would affect the other. If you did one thing within one company, we didn't have that issue. So each company was able to sort of spawn off, do some things to be self-sustaining during this time, and it has worked very, very well for us. One of the things that really came out of this, when I was, working with, I'll tell you a portion of it. One of the things that we're launching is a technological platform called the People's Network, and it's a revolutionary platform, and it allows content creators to communicate with viewers and with customers. That is one of the, I guess, our competitive advantages in dealing with competitors and how we create content. We were able to take that and sort of retrofit that in a way that could help other industries solve some of their problems during this time. And that knowledge has bode well for us. And those are some of the ways that we've been able to offset what we had already done to make it work for us during this time. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I remember in the beginning of this pandemic, we had Linda with our OPM 49 a group, and she gave us a message, and that core message was it's a time to thrive and not just survive.
Yeah.
And I took that, we at Rangam, we took that message, and really we did, I call this innovation on steroid. That's what we really did, and that message was just so powerful. So we thank you, Linda, for that. And um, also I share the same background and team environment. I work, as you know, with Ethel, as same as you.
Yeah.
So it has been difficult, but I think how you have pivoted your whole business model. One of the things which I recently learned from you about your project, the Better World project. Tell us what is that, because that's really very impactful, and I would say that is very much I think related to empathy and what we do at Rangam and what theme of this show is. So tell us a little bit about that project.
A Better World project actually is part of the reason why the case study has been extended as well, because they're now covering our work in the area of social justice. It really came about during this time when all of these injustices started happening in our country, and you started to see your George Floyds, your Breonna Taylors, your Ahmaud Arbery's, and there were so many different voices that were coming, and none of them were uniting. And one of the things that I had talked to my team about as we were preparing to begin our new content slate is that we needed to think about doing content that unifies, because there's no one really doing that right now. And so we started thinking about it, and we came up with the idea to use music as a universal language to bring people together. And so that's really how it came about. And what a Better World project is, it's a movement to end racism. And what we're doing is we're bringing together celebrities, pro athletes, corporations, high school and student-led organizations, college student-led organizations, and we're bringing together literally every sector of society to address this issue of ending racism in America. One of the things and the reasons why we're doing that is because this isn't something that just happened. This isn't something that just started. It's been here for centuries. And we knew that it's going to take every sector of industry coming together to work towards this whole thing. One of the things that I think is a key element to what we did in laying this out is we're engaging millennials and we're engaging Gen Z. One of the organizations that we're working actually with the National Association of Student Council Organizations. This is high school organization, middle school organization. They train student leaders, and they are actually working with us in our early phase one of this whole thing. They're launching a campaign in January of this year where they are going to come up with the official challenge for a Better World project. And one of the reasons why we thought that was very important is, like no other generation, this generation, millennials, Gen Z, they have the ability to affect culture like no other generation prior to them. And they're the ones who are leading these different movements that are happening right now. So we really felt like it was vital to involve them in the process. And I think we talked a little bit about this, that those are a part of the strategies that we sit down and figure out, what are the things that we actually need to put in place in order to make the projects that we do successful. It goes beyond just the televised concert that we're going to be doing in the first quarter of 2021. There are all of these other facets. How are we working to involve these different sectors of society to make sure that we're not just dealing with one demographic? One demographic or one sector of industry isn't going to do it. We need this entire country coming together to deal with this issue, and that's what we're doing with the Better World Project.
That is so powerful, and that's so beautiful. And in our world of neurodiversity at work, I call this is very, what you have done is you've taken that holistic approach to create really the ecosystem to
Yeah,
make your innovation work, right? And that
absolutely.
is so powerful. And you mentioned, and we talked about this earlier. Tell us, what are those things? And you are all about, taking the idea and taking it to the finish line, delivering it, converting that into a reality and a business, successful business. So how do you work? Just tell us a little bit more about that.
I
The
think
strategy and thinking behind.
when you talk about creating projects or anything, I mean, a business that's successful, it's all about the strategies. Because the thing about it is, it's one thing to have an idea, but when you sit down and really develop the strategies around how you're going to make that thing successful, you are the one who are constantly poking holes in it to see where those fail spaces are. Or for me, it was a Deepak or a Linda or any of the other professors at HBS who were constantly poking holes in my business plan that I would bring to them. But those lessons are so important, because when you have and you perform those exercises around developing strategies for whatever it is, your business, your project, you're going to find the places where your project, where your business can fail. And if you're able to see where those places are going to fail, you can put in systems that will keep those things from happening. And so for us, it's funny. My team, they laugh at me because nothing is just a simple thing. If we're taking on a project, there are going to be 5 to 7 other things involved in that's completely not related, it seems, to this big picture here. But they're working to make sure that this big picture is successful. And I think that's one of the places where most people fail in business. They fail in terms of whatever it is that they're trying to do, is they don't develop detailed enough strategies or honest enough strategies where they've been honest enough to say, well, this just because I think there's a great saying. I heard one of the professors say, if you are your own demographic, you need to find another audience. If you have to be willing to put your projects, to put your business through the scrutiny of how other people are going to see it, and not just from your own perspective, because your own perspective does not represent the whole, if you will. And if you're able to do that with whatever it is that you're doing, you can develop strategies or systems that will actually make your project successful. So,
Yeah, that is so true, right? Because Ron, you are touching a mass audience. So in your case, that is, you are looking at the community and a bigger, I would say, audience to get that feedback. In our case, we always say, let's listen to our customers, right? Companies who is interested in adopting neurodiversity at work program or sociable program, let's listen to their expectations, their goals. But ours is a lot more simpler and easier because we are dealing with selected leaders and we get that input from them. In your case, it's an audience, it's a huge, it is just amazing. So it's a lot more complex and a lot more. So during this process, I have one question on that.
sure.
That during this process, I'm pretty sure you must be evaluating or trying out so many different options as a painter, right? You paint and you sketch it out and you redo things. And when you have a team of some amazingly smart people, how do you manage that expectation? How do you get their buy-in? What is your approach as an entrepreneur and as a leader?
To get their buy-in, it's really not a complicated process. You involve them in the process. You bring them to the table. You make them a part of the solution. It's one thing to sit up and come up with ideas, in which I'm an idea guy. You put me in a room for an hour and I'll probably come up or have 50 we could run with. But it goes beyond just coming up with the idea. You have to have the people around you who can actually execute what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And so you make them a part of that process. When you make them a part of that process, they're going to see things that you cannot see. They hold pieces, to this big vision, to what it is that you're trying to create, or what you're trying to accomplish. And yet you have to make concessions for them. And one of the things that I do is also, you have to make concessions for those who are the quiet ones, if you will, the one who don't necessarily have the dogma or the personality to stand up and be very vocal about their thoughts and ideas. But you've got to create the atmosphere and the environment for those more soft-spoken and more reserved people as well, because a lot of times they may have the answers, they may have pieces to the puzzle. And so it's making concessions for everyone to be involved in the process, because everyone has something to offer.
Yeah, that creating the environment where everybody feels comfortable to contribute, because a lot of people, they shy away when they see that it's a very stressful conversation.
Yeah.
Then they get into that withdrawal mode, and then that's a loss for us as an entrepreneur. That's a big loss. So that's very important thing. Talking about collaboration, right? It's all about how we collaborate with our team and put together and convert this idea into realities. Now, in this world of this whole during this challenging time and post COVID also,
Yeah.
and this is not new. Collaboration, cross-industry collaboration, multi-party involvement. In your case, you have been doing that. Tell us a little bit how, why, and why that is so important.
Well, it's funny, and I'll sort of come back a little bit to grab that in the whole
Yeah.
sense. We did something very unusual. We made millennials and Gen Z a very, very vital part of our collaborative effort, not just at these lower tier levels, but including them and involving them at the highest levels of what we do as a company. And, because we were doing some things that were very unconventional, we set up some very unconventional structures in terms of project-based work within even creating the technology that we're currently using. The central focus is in terms of trying to figure out how to win back lost demographics in the entertainment space. You have to have those voices represented. So, it's one of the things that we did was I created this group, and you'll laugh at me. It's a combination between millennials and Generation Z. I call them Zillennials. Well, they like to call themselves the Z group. But what we did was we pulled aspiring writers, aspiring actors, aspiring everything, and they comprised this group of a think tank within the office. But they worked with every sector, every element, every entity of World of Dreams. And because of that, we were able to get their perspective on everything that we're doing to make sure that their voice is included, because they're the ones we're trying to win back. And some of the most brilliant things came out of these simple situations, sitting with them, listening to them. We're coming up with these, what we're thinking are great ideas, and they're like, no, we don't see the world that way. And if and it didn't work that way for us. And so we were able to take that and use them in a way that most companies are not thinking, to really, really get them involved. But it also became very interesting what happened with the Z group. It also became sort of a pool to pull from for promotion. So because you're able to really, really gauge, what these young people were really, really looking and aspiring to be, it became this sort of testing, a litmus test for their abilities to be promoted within the company as well. So there's a lot to be said from the collaborative process, and especially when you're trying to deal with solving disruptions or dealing with disruptions. There's a lot to be said for that collaborative process. one of the things that came from that with us, we actually we had to make a pivot during this whole COVID thing, and we did a meeting with the C-suite and then some of the selected board members, and in that we came up with this collaborative plan to make a pivot because one of the board members had connections within commercial development and said, look, there may be some opportunities for World of Dreams here. So what we were able to do, because we had this agile structure within our companies, we were able to take all of those commercial development pieces that were supposed to be a part of phase one that we didn't have the funding for and roll them up under this other project. We created another company between, three gentlemen and myself, and now those phases are moving forward under another entity that was created. So the collaborative process is the most important thing, especially when you're trying to solve difficult problems within a company.
Yeah, I hear you solving disruption, and or that is and other thing I hear, that respecting this new generation, listening to their ideas and learning from that, and pivoting or tweaking your ideas into a new idea, breaking your team into different kind of team with different goals and mission and achievable goals, and then that all together one piece becomes your masterpiece. And
Yeah.
tell us a little bit how you do that engineering, building those pieces, and after a few quarters it looks like, oh wow, this is a beautiful. Tell us, what is that strategy? How do you manage it?
It's funny. My mind, Nish, my mind works. I've come to the conclusion. My mind, I see the world very differently, and I'm not afraid to do things that haven't been done before or that I have not seen modeled out before me. And I think that when you are trying to do things that haven't been done before, you have to be willing to create scenarios that you may not necessarily have seen within your own experience, within your own space. But if you're able to see an end, if you're able to see a process, create a process, if you will, that can get you to that desired end, you have to sometimes be willing to take those risks. That's how TPN, the People's Network, came about. One of the big issues in our industry is that if you have declining viewer ratings, if your numbers are continuing to go down year after year after year, that's a customer service issue. Your viewers are not satisfied with what they're getting in some way, in some regard. So if that be the case, then how are you going to solve this thing? Is it going to be sitting around a table with a bunch of suits trying to guess what the issue is and trying to come up with this content, whatever is going to resonate with them? Or do you create a scenario that is going to allow you to be able to communicate with your viewers, with your customers, and then make them a part of the process? So this whole idea of collaboration, we've extended it even into how we create our content. We're bringing viewers and customers into the conversation because we know that in order to create content that's going to resonate, they have to be included, because you have more ways of watching content than you ever have before. You have more platforms, you have more television networks. So the answer to it is not just to create more content, but it's to create content that has an emotional connection with the people with whom you're creating it. So,
Oh my God, this is so powerful. The audience has to be included in your work, right? In your content creation. And in fact, we, in our world of autism and employment for people on the autism spectrum, we also talk about similar thing, that in order to build the solution, we have to include people on the spectrum. When we build the technology, when we build the program, they must be part of the team. This is see, I'm just, as you talk, I'm thinking, oh, so in our world, how is that related? It has been a great conversation. I wish we could have continued a little bit more. We are almost 1 minute left. So one thing which I heard in last few minutes, Ron, that combination of courage and creativity. I wish I could have come up with the third C, because the three always sounds better. But courage and creativity, that is so powerful. That's what you have been really doing with all your amazing project, including American Idol and all this future amazing work. So I really, we would like to wish you all the best with this amazing project, with your amazing journey of innovation, amazing journey of really impacting the society, because all the work you have done, the way I see it, there is a huge, and the whole world sees it, that it's a huge societal impact, right? American Idol, how you can be an idol to others and influence the society, influence the future generation. And this is exactly what you are doing. So thank you for doing all this amazing work and entertaining the whole world, and building some innovative programs. Any last minute thought before we conclude?
You know, nothing really other than just thank you for bringing me in to have this conversation with you. I always enjoy my time with you and Hethel, and this has just been a wonderful experience. If any businesses would like to be involved with what we're doing with the Better World Project, um, um, you know, my team is going to kill me because I can't remember the email address, but I'll give you mine because it's
We will put it in the chat.
ron.deshay@worldofdreamstv.com. If any businesses want to be a part of this conversation that we're having, would love for you all to reach out and contact, and we'll have our team get with you and partner you up with some corporate sponsors and all of that kind of stuff, because we are going to change the world with this project.
That is the goal. And thank you again. Thank you, and wishing you all the best. To you, your family, happy holidays. Stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you for your time, and thank you for joining us on this show.
Yeah. I saw the data, ron.deshay@worldofdreamstv.com. Make sure the TV was there. So
Yep.
thank you so
Great.
much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.